Well, hello everybody. I'll give it that minute to let people log on. Got some time today. We got, Hamilton, about foot and a half of snow overnight last night. And of course, I'm on night shift, so I woke up to having to plow out with the big truck. And boy, it was tough, but on my way to work, pretty rough roads, I guess, today. School shut down here, Hamilton, and a few other areas outside the GTA. I don't know how they made out in Toronto, but I see the major dump as I come into Toronto, and it's pretty huge. Big drifts on the side, so it was a lot of snow. Common for Edmonton, Alberta, not so common out here, but I'm going to get into the story now, and it is on absolutely Kevin Annett, who's asked by Tina Maravich that I do this, so I do it. I want to get out for everybody, and I'm enjoying Russian academia. I've got huge invites with what's going on with NATO and Russia. I've broken through finally. I mean, they've helped me a few times. Dmitry Polansky, the deputy over the last 2 years, has given me tremendous insights, but it's one person. Mind you, he's a high-ranking official under Putin, and he's the international rep, one of two mains, but Vasily is the official rep, and I've been fortunate to be in a few YouTubes with him. I had former members of the party witness that, go through it with me. They allowed us to see America's top generals in action, talking with him, talking about history as it is, not is what the media portrays it to be. When you hear from top American generals live, you get to interact. That's pretty incredible. So these are things that I'll never forget. Moves me. It brings me forward. I enjoy the work. Why I target Kevin Annett right now is called Machiavelli propagandist. For those who don't know, in the 15th century, as French went to English, this is the time of absolutely great works that all of you are familiar with. The writer Romeo and Juliet, Othello, and the list goes on and on. French to English, and another thing that came out of that was from Italy, and that's the Italian Machiavelli. And he went into propaganda for the royal families, and at that time of the world, everybody, it was age of empires. Colonialism was just fresh, justified, and Machiavelli writes about propaganda, the powerful tool of propaganda agents. He says the divine right of monarchs by way of propaganda. Forget all moral compasses, all righteousness. It's all about the divinity of the royals. They're allowed to do immoral acts against the people in the name of royal class, first class. That's the birth of it. And you know what? It's old. It's been going on 1,000 years, but in colonialism, 500 years, absolutely strong. So strong, in fact, the birth of the best version of it, the people who understand it the most is Russia. Russian academia has a firm grasp as they moved away from communism. They got rid of it because communism, the Marxist-Leninist communism, was entrenched with Machiavelli principles of propaganda, taking royal proclamation of no morality needed, do what needs to be done, who cares the cost, who cares the cost to society, forget the majority, focus, it's a divine right. And that was taken through communism, Marxist-Leninism. That's reality all the way through the former Soviet Union. High degrees of propaganda agents. Why this is critical? While it was birthed in Europe, which Russia is European, everybody. Their history is 1,000 years old. They're European. Anyone who tries to denounce that you're delusional. Sorry from the western side of academia. When you start going through the world as it really is, you start to learn history as they really are. Way older than the United States. Canada's a product of it, but still they don't understand any of it. I can tell you all, after going through what I've read in the last 48 hours from Russia academia, which is a first for me. I've never had so much access to Russian institutions. It's great that I can get all that in English. I love it. I'm going through it. It's nice to actually be talking to professors from Russia. For those who followed me a long time, it's been years coming. What's breaking here is I'm from Edmonton, Alberta in Canada. It's the home base of the Marxist-Leninist Party here in Canada, the province of Alberta. It's also the federal party, and then you have the Communist Party of Canada. Again, headquartered in Edmonton, Alberta. NDP, headquartered in Edmonton, Alberta. We watched Thomas Mulcair finished, usurped right in Edmonton, Alberta, downtown. All three parties enjoy that. If anyone's ever searched, there's one video that I will share on the world stage coming in other works I'm doing. But about 3 years ago, I produced for everybody the big march of the communists right in Edmonton, Alberta, where it's huge. It's the strongest in all of Canada. NDP overlaps it. They love it too. It's bad. It's bad. The propaganda used by Machiavelli is brutal. So, getting into this and Kevin and that and what's come from Russian academia, again, experts as they were the former Soviet Union, USSR. They mastered it. It was used. Lenin used it. Karl Marx, it was the basis of his teachings on the labor movement, much, much different than the United States of America's labor movement. Two different things. So, why this is important at Divine Right. Royals used it first. It was a great tool to usurp charters, to go through and absolutely destroy the serfs. Karl Marx, Lenin, they used this to draft principles of communism, and by all kinds of means, exploit, cheat, lie, steal, doesn't matter, to get their narratives to win the day through socialism. Kevin Annett is doing this. He is the agent of the ultimate propagandist. He's out of Edmonton, Alberta. He would only learn this from one source: the Marxist-Leninist Party, the Communist Party of Canada. Les Michelson, he's on my friends list. He does Edmonton News. He's been in a lot of marches over the years with me. Les, I should probably tag you in this too, because it's pretty breaking news. And, Kevin Annett, what he's doing with this fabrication of common law and how he's using it as a court, it's all fabricated, massive lie, propaganda, not true, none whatsoever. There is no court. A lot of people trying to back him up pick third world social dictators. These are civil law socialists or full-on regimes in absolute full autocracy over people. Third world countries. And you, a lot of my followers, not everybody, but a lot of you subscribe to this stuff. You'll say, oh, but look, Indonesia. Really? You're going to take a third world scenario and apply that? Or other third world countries who have literally no civil rights or very few human rights, and you're going to justify the things you say using the worst of the worst examples. And even Russia, just like academics, they just raise their eyebrows and say, wow, the education level out west. And they're correct. Honestly, they're correct. I see it, and it's true. The average Russian doesn't see this. Are there propagandas that the average Russian believes? Sure. And they're the same kind of propagandas Americans believe. But what propagandas do a lot of Canadians believe? Well, they believe in a lot of Machiavelli principles, which is this concept of natural law. There are many, many academics all over the world that teach natural law, a natural state, and these are rights that are supposed to be rights you're born with. None of that is available to Canadians, none whatsoever. It was for a very limited time, post 1945, just like USA, just like the former Soviet Union into the Federation of Russia today. But that doesn't apply to Canadians, none whatsoever, because we are in a constitutional monarchy where Machiavellian principles rule, because we have a royal crown system. If you deal with communism, you get a divine communism, what Kevin Annett tries to push, a fake system of natural law and common law. There is no such thing as a common law court. There are world courts, there are systems in this world and democracies, civil law socialists, who base some judgments on the concept of common law that comes from Rome. And everybody, I'm going to tell you, is basically what common law is. The law of precedent, meaning when a judge makes a decision at the highest level of court in the country, all judges of all lower courts and of courts of equal must base their decisions on cases that closely match that case. They have to be made the same decisions with very limited ability to move around remedy. That's the truth. That's all common law means. Anyone talking about common law, you're way out to lunch. You talk about common law courts, no such thing. Trying to narrate natural law as some kind of narration of one size fits all is ludicrous. That's why we don't have natural law courts. We have natural law based on religion and cultural principles if they're enshrined. And guess what, everybody? They're not enshrined in the Canadian Constitution. So I'm sorry, First Peoples, but you should already know this. Christians, I'm sorry, but you should really already know this. If you haven't been paying attention, you don't get judgments based on your religious beliefs and context. Natural law is focused on areas of society of people's distinct beliefs. In Canada, that can all be usurped. It's a constitutional monarchy. Kevin Annett is a propagandist, likely an agent who protects the actual propagandist. My guess is he's tied deeply with NDP and absolutely the Communist Party of Canada and the Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada. His whole bullshit narrative of his website can only come from one source, and Russians prove it beyond any reasonable doubt. This kind of radical, absolute bullshit comes from Karl Marx and Lenin. That's reality. They did all the same things. They moved mountains, and foolish people bought it, bit it like a shit apple, the poison apple, call it what you want. That is the history, that's the truth, and Kevin Annett is a nut job. He's mentally ill, but where does he come from? Where did he get these ideas? It's all out of the Communist Manifesto. It's all out of Machiavelli propaganda. Attached to the royal family too. The divine right to lie your face off to the people, trick them by any immoral means necessary, make all kinds of money to get your ends justify the means. Brutal. Poor First Peoples who eat this, which is in majority, I know that. Tina is pretty upset about it. She has a lot of followers. I have a lot of followers, and the reality is these followers who I'm anti-vax or I'm flat earth or the list goes on and on to QAnon, it's communist-based propaganda. That's where it's developed from. It's scary. There's libertarians from the States who jump all over this, but the reality is, where are you getting your propaganda narratives from? the playbook of Karl Marx and Lenin. That's reality. And anyone who doesn't think this is true, Russia wrote the book on all this. Designed by Italy, who was also the same thing. Look at World War II. The same thing. The same animal. It's scary. Germany went there too. Immoral means. The means justify the ends. Doesn't matter how immoral. Scary stuff, guys. But this is the stuff we have to nip in the bud. I'll be going through it in great detail. But those who follow Kevin and Nat, you're basically following Karl Marx. Fantasy fictions. There's a criminal name to this. You won't find this supported in democracies or truly free societies. Republicanism was awakening from that. That's what republicanism came from, establishing democratic republics, i.e. the United States of America, the Boston Tea Party. They broke away from that cruddy system. UK still struggles with it. France struggles with it. Canada is explosively destructed by it. And people rage on and on and on in full and absolute lies. It's scary. How can you be a compulsive and propagated liar, constant liar, and people want to believe that? Religious people, oh, I bend over, I pull my pants down, and I pray to God for help. The reality is, ladies and gentlemen, a religion that teaches you to pull your pants down, bend over, and pray and hope that you don't get assaulted is, wow, is some kind of ludicrous. Some kind of ludicrous. God only saves people who are willing to save themselves. There's no divine savior that's going to allow you to bend over, pull your pants down, and you expect that God's going to come save you. Doesn't work like that. And anyone who believes that, it's scary. More divine propaganda written and crafted to change Christianity by royal families. That's reality. More style of Machiavelli propaganda as it was written, as it is today. And literally, it's as old as the English language. Scary, scary stuff. Comes from Italy, post the fall of Rome. It comes out of the end near of the Dark Ages. It's sad. It's sad. The things we take from history that people supposedly learn from, but they don't. And here we are in 2022, living it. And Canada is exploited by it. And people will eat it, will live it, will love it. Another little highlight that I should add to this is people who talk about regionalism. You can't have any regionalism whatsoever when you usurp federalism on the basis that you're going to write your own international laws. Think about that statement, ladies and gentlemen. You will get no support, not in any supposed morality of your natural law or your version of a common law that doesn't exist. You will get none of it when you try to write your own international law. It will never happen. That's the end of the regionalism. Think about that, those who talk about independence or those who talk about getting more powers in local governance. You end where international law begins. And if you don't know it, you don't live it, you don't follow it to a T, you can kiss your regionalism goodbye. And there is no support for you, none whatsoever on the world stage. That's why there's UN states. Or is it exploited by absolute abusers? Yes, Canada's the leading abuser. Is Canada in gross violation of the UN Charter? Yes, they want NWO. They're leaders of the NWO. Like other countries in the world, there's many, but Canada is a leader, a first world nation trying to lead that. And that is deathly against the Allies. who are sworn that there will be no NWO. That's reality. Canada says, oh yes, yes there will be. People like Kevin and Annette are agents of that. Make no mistake. Full-blown liars who, for many, many hundreds of years, nearly 700 years logged, have been perpetuating that. Agents just like Kevin and Annette, who claim one thing but are constantly lying. Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. They're mentally ill. They often get removed from many organizations, but the Crown finds a place for these lunatics, these radicals. And it's under agent in Machiavelli propagandism. And it is absolutely designed and orchestrated by one Karl Marx and Lenin. They've got a huge rollout for it. And you know what? That's where Kevin and Annette comes from. That's who he is. And all you have to look is, what are the coincidences that the three main communist-tied propagandist parties from Machiavelli teachings are also from Edmonton, Alberta. I know, I've fought it for more than 20 years while I lived in Edmonton, Alberta. Seen it firsthand. It's been one of the longest running fights of my life. I lived it, I know it, I know the danger of it. Thanks, that's my video today. Share, share, share. I hope it helps you, Tina, with the First Peoples who follow you. It's a tough one. Africa is a prime example why that kind of system doesn't work. Look, the state of African countries post-colonialism. Look how many tyrants came out of it, how many have been put to death through the ICC, how many human rights violations. That's Machiavelli propaganda at its entirety. That's what happens when you ignore international law and you go with your own narratives in natural law or your own brand of, we're going to make our own common law. It doesn't work like that, ladies and gentlemen. And there is ample evidence since 1945 of many, many would-be leaders, dictators, and nut jobs who have either spent a lifetime in prison, been put to death, or are currently in a supreme isolation, awaiting to come out to see the world they left behind completely transformed, where they will be brought to justice in that new system. That's reality. Live it, learn it or not, but ICC, International Criminal Court, highest court in the world, the only court. Countries utilizing tribunals are a way of sneaking out the back door and lying to their citizens, all while violating human rights in large, large swaths, often making a slave class called the third class absolutely pay for their crimes financially. That is royalty. That is constitutional monarchies. That is communism in its extreme through Machiavelli propaganda, which was the Soviet Union, masters of it. And now you see there are masters of it coming alive today. That's Kevin and Annette. Scary, scary stuff. Bye now.